Well, actually, as that picture illustrates,
being on a ventilator has not curbed my lifestyle.
Also theory that the universe had also existed, always existed. So in this theory, in this thesis, he lays out.
What would you like? Anything held or gesticulated?
Is it a shot through the glasses?
Yeah. So we with the glasses.
No, so we're going to have a small highlights display next spring, but the long term. It's literally always like can someone not invent it?
This is a 10 out of 10 acquisition. And in fact, one of the curators said to me when they learned that it was coming to the Science Museum, it's a real legacy moment because this is a major acquisition for the Science Museum. It really is up there with the sort of premier division of things that we've collected over the past 150 years. It's that important.
Where he used to like to make bets with other scientists. And so with John Preston, where the trouble is with information being found outside the black hole, again, physics in general are completely contradicting each other. And this is a really big problem when you're trying to find one theory of everything. There's some discussion and controversy over what's the mechanism by which inflation equilibrates. You know, basically a letter from the palace turning up unexpectedly at the house when she was a kid. And he was a bit surprised to get celebrity-wise. But something like the papal note, he was a member of the Pontificate Academy of Sciences, so he would joke that. Thank you very much.
My father would be so pleased, and I think maybe at the same time just a tiny bit overwhelmed that he was going to form part of the story of history of science, that he was going to be alongside the great scientists, the people whose work he really admired. And I think for him, because he was quite a modest man, that part of him would feel just a little bit sort of taken aback and overwhelmed that this had happened to him.
Twitching his cheek. So earlier, so these are slowed down quite a lot. So I think earlier on he would have been able to do about 20 words a minute. Near the end of his life, that had slowed to like yeah. So essentially, in the collection, there's sensors. There's quite a few glasses in the collection that are like their development ones for testing because they tried initially buying some. Communications equipment is a fantastic, interesting collection in its own right. Because it belongs to
The wire is attached.
Okay.
So I think it's, yeah, the black.
I'm really moved by the sight of his spectacles, a pair of tortoiseshell spectacles that I can just imagine him putting them on. And so that's very emotional for me, but also they're actually very important because they have a little sensor on the side of them, and it's this sensor which allows him to communicate, because the sensor judges the distance from his cheek muscle. It's just a twitch of the cheek muscle that allowed him to control the cursor on his computer keyboard. So when you think about that, it really sort of gives you a way to understand the dedication he had to communicating.
Paper material where we're trying to limit the amount of light.
Do you want to keep it covered just for
Oh, no, I mean, it's a couple of minutes.
It's okay, because we're just going to work out what we're going to do. So that I can actually find film through that.
That's very busy.
And then it cuts away at that. So as long as there's cutaways, I can just. I just like the yeah, it's because it's like non-light.
Yeah. And you're looking at the camera and looking down on that type thing. So if what I'm thinking is if we could build sort of
Let me check with whether we actually.
At Cambridge, he stands now with his archive alongside the greats, Newton, Darwin and Hawking, all of their archives, their papers under one roof, preserved for all time for the world at Cambridge University Library. And that is so important because not only was Stephen Hawking such an extraordinary scientist, but he was also a public figure that touched our lives. And we have to relate that both to his the way in which he put himself into the world to tell the story of science and to break down the boundaries about science to young minds and advanced scholars, but also because of the extraordinary resilience and determination as a profoundly disabled man. And that determination and that story is part of what the archive tells us, and it's why it is so important and one of the reasons he was so important.